Fiddlesticks. Fiddlesticks is the demon of fear. He is one of the 10 primordial demons, also known as the 10 Kings. These are ancient beings that embody fundamental emotions and concepts of mortal life. They emerged naturally from Runeterra itself when mortals first experienced powerful emotions like fear and joy. They are ancient, the first and most powerful of their kind. As the primordial demon of fear, Fiddlesticks is fear itself. He was initially thought to be a myth, or just a horror story. One such story is that Fiddlesticks was accidentally released by a mage tampering with powers beyond their understanding. Another story from Noxus depicts Fiddlesticks as a farm boy who was blamed for a bad harvest and fed to the crows, and later came back as a demon. Despite the many tales and stories about Fiddlesticks, its existence was treated as a myth by many until disappearances and sightings started happening in the Demacian hinterlands. A Demacian poem mentions the 10 kings. 10 great kings took 10 great thrones. 9 crowns adorned 9 heads. 1 left to scratch upon their mounds. The crow alive and dead. Many people speculate that the 10 kings refers to the 10 primordial demons, and the one without a crown is Fiddlesticks, the most ancient and powerful of the 10. Raum. Raum is the demon of secrets. He is a malevolent being that serves as the source of power for Swain, the Grand Noxian General. Raum usually appears in the form of a raven. Raum is also a reference to Raum in Rio demonology. He is a demon that appears in the shape of a crow. He also appears in the TV show Arcane, likely under the control of Swain to gather intel, however, this is not yet clear. In Runeterra lore, Raum has existed for centuries in the depths of the Immortal Bastion in Noxus. No one knows where he came from or how he came to be. Many, however, have sought the demon's power, including the Black Rose. The Black Rose needed the demon's power to fight against the regime of Borum Darkwill, the last emperor of Noxus. Raum has the power to collect soul fragments. These fragments can hold memories, emotions, or knowledge. With a piece of someone's soul, he can mimic the person's voice, recall personal memories, and even craft illusions. At the invasion of Ionia, Raum approaches a gravely wounded Swain in the form of a raven, which ultimately leads to Swain outsmarting Raum and taking his powers for himself. Atakhan. Atakhan is the bringer of ruin. He is an ancient demon that feeds on violence and carnage. He is also one of the 2 powerful demon beasts that served San Uzao, who would later on become Mordekaiser. Atakhan is tall and wears a tattered black cloak. Its head is crowned with a spiked helmet, and he has glowing red eyes. Originally, it had no true form, simply following the scent of death of battlefields. This is what led Atakhan to San Uzao's encampment in the first place, because he was drawn by the violence of his conquests. San Uzao's most loyal general, Ashlesh, fought to protect him from Atakhan and was slain in the process. San Uzao, however, managed to strike down the demon and bind it to the general's helmet. By doing so, he enslaved Atakhan and used his powers for his conquests. A few thousand years later, Ashlesh's helmet would come into the possession of the Black Rose. LeBlanc and Vladimir would use it to summon Atakhan and use him to find the location of a darkened weapon hidden in Ionia in exchange for the demon's freedom. Tybaulk. Tybaulk, also known as Tibbers, is a fire demon and the other of the 2 great demon beasts that served Mordekaiser, along with Atakhan. Tybaulk is a gigantic fiery monster. He has a huge fanged mouth with 2 other smaller mouths on top. He also has several arms, which also have a mouth on each. After Mordekaiser fell, LeBlanc and the Black Rose sealed Tybaulk in a vial, which was sent to the Ravenbloom Conservatory. Afterwards, the demon was infused into a mage named Evelynn who is also Annie's mother. At one point, Annie fell critically ill. Evelynn used the powers of Tybaulk to heal her. She then transferred the demon from herself into the teddy bear that she made for her to serve as her guardian. Afterwards, she disappeared. This is how Tybaulk became Annie's companion, and he remains under her control. Annie herself has a natural affinity towards fire magic, which she inherited from her mother. After bonding with Tybaulk, her abilities were greatly amplified, becoming one of the most powerful and destructive fire mages. Ashlesh. Ashlesh is the Lord of Joy. He, along with Fiddlesticks, is one of the 10 primordial demons, also known as the 10 Kings. Ashlesh feeds on primal joy. One story, called The Cycle of Ashlesh, speaks of a many-limbed beast who terrorized the world, along with their 9 other siblings, implying that Ashlesh is a part of the 10 Kings. At some point, Ashlesh tried to devour the celestial kingdom, but the aspects managed to defeat Ashlesh and lock it in a magical prison, where it's said to be protected by a mythical order of heroes. After many centuries passed, a young woman, now named Nyla, made contact with the demon. In exchange for her former life, so after death, and giving it a taste of every other emotion except for joy, she now wields the power of Ashlesh. Evelynn. Evelynn is the demon of agony. Initially she, or it, was a primordial, shapeless, and barely sentient entity, numb to everything in existence. That was the case until the Rune Wars happened, where thousands of people died. This stimulated and nourished Evelynn, turning it into a different creature, a demon that fed on the suffering of others. When the Rune Wars ended, Evelynn was left hungry and desperate for more pain to feast on. It decided that it could be the cause of the pain and suffering that it craved. To catch its prey, Evelynn would transform into something tangible, something that would attract prey, often the shape of a beautiful woman. Despite killing dozens, the demon isn't able to completely satiate its hunger and can only hold itself over until its next meal. Because it has never felt a pleasure so great as the Rune Wars, Evelynn dreams of a day when it can plunge the world into anarchy and feel the same pleasure again. Nocturne. Nocturne is a demonic entity that is drawn from the nightmares that haunt the mind. It's a faceless shadow that originates from the spiritual dream realm. This is an imaginary place of memories, hopes, and dreams, but also fears and darkness. Over countless centuries filled with wars and personal traumas, the collective unconsciousness of people was stained with horror. From this horror emerged an essence of dread. It learned to think, to hunger, and to hate. It became Nocturne. Through cracks in the veil between the dream world and the real world, Nocturne managed to escape and manifest itself in reality. In ancient times, records from early mage circles spoke of a dark phantom striking down sorcerers in their sleep. In the wars of Demacia and Noxus, soldiers spoke of a living nightmare that stalked their camps. In Ionia, Nocturne is known as a cautionary tale, a parasite that feeds on the dreams of those who fail to master their fears. Tahm Kench. Tahm Kench is the River King. Where some demons embody primal fears, Tahm Kench is the incarnation of insatiable greed and hunger. He is a demon who has walked Runeterra since the early days of civilization, always wearing a different face and name. His true form is a big amphibious catfish-like creature. This could also be a play on words. He is a catfish both literally and metaphorically. Tahm Kench is always hungry. He craves nothing more than to indulge himself as much as he can. He is cruel and manipulative and often makes deals with tricks to get the best out of those who trust him. He is usually tied to bodies of water, like rivers and swamps, places where desperate travelers might cross his path. He offers them what they desire the most: fortune, love, freedom, or revenge. His price is always hidden, though. Those who accept his bargains find themselves devoured by their own desires. In Bilgewater, sailors whisper of the River King, who can guide their ships to safe harbor if they can endure his appetite. Many who accept are never seen again, dragged beneath the tide.